And I see Roland's got a question up on top. You raised your hand. Roland, give me your
No, I want to
feedback.
make a comment. For me, it's always explained in a way it's a program that calculates the most likely answer based on all the knowledge which has been fed into it, or the most common answer. It's not even the most likely, it's the most common answer because I call it always the average of the knowledge has been put in.
So you, Roland, have started with exactly the problem we're going to deal with today. So what everybody does, they start using AI and they say, wow, amazing. It can write all this stuff for me. Wow. And then you start digging into it a little bit and you find the answers are too generic because what it's giving you is the most obvious answer. In fact, that's what it's been built to do, is to give you the obvious answers to your problem. So what we're going to talk about today is how to build a custom GPT that's tailored to your challenges and that understands your unique needs, your workflows, your goals, and will give you more specific answers. Now, why would you believe me? Well, I've done a whole bunch of these. I've run probably 60 to 70 innovation sprints, and this is almost a part of the innovation sprint that we run. And the reason you should believe me is I'm going to give you a step-by-step guide that you can download at the end of this talk on how to do it on your own. So the payoff for you is in about 2 hours, you can have a GPT that does a pretty good job. In about a week, you could have somebody, a GPT that's good enough to be a fully functional team member. That's pretty cool. So let's step backwards again. We're going to look at your challenge, Roland. So generative AI is a prediction machine. It predicts the most obvious next thing that's coming up. And how do you get out of obvious solutions? There's, in fact, two ways to get there. One is you can prompt differently, or two is you can give data and instructions to the GPT to do things a little bit different. And so we're going to come, my starting point is going to be Brazilian. And I'm going to give you an ordinary prompt. I have a beautiful wife, and I like to give my wife international gift ideas. Her birthday is May 1st. And if I went to ChatGPT and I said, give me 5 great gift ideas for my wife, what is ChatGPT going to give me as an answer? A personalized memory book, already done that. A wellness or a spa package, already done that. Cooking or a hobby class, already done that. A subscription service or a membership, already done that. An experience together, well, I can do a new experience. Renat, yes, I can give her flowers. That's a good idea. But I think she deserves more than flowers. She deserves something amazing. And one thing that you can do is you can find a way to ask, in this case, ChatGPT, for a different type of gift. And the way that you can write a prompt, there's 20 or 30 different ways to write prompts differently. The one I prefer is car because it's easy to remember. And essentially what you're doing is you're giving the LLM a context, an action, you tell it what it wants to do, and you give it a result. So let me tell you how I can get a good gift for my wife. The context, you are a creative gift consultant specialized in understanding Brazilian women. And I don't remember who was here before, but understanding Brazilian women or understanding women in general is not the easiest thing in the world. But but the
They say the
LLM,
same thing about us, man.
I'm kidding, Christina. She's
No, 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 no. Hey, dude, it's reciprocity here, dude.
I don't think understanding men is either anyway. Imagine your budget
Depends
is
on the time.
the timing is tight and personalization matters. What I would like you to do is to come up with creative ideas. And I'm going to tell you a technique that you can use as an AI to come up with creative ideas. And it's called creative combination. And what I want you to do is to create 2 groups of stimuli. Group number 1 is 3 things that are related to birthdays, 3 types of animals. Group number 2 is going to be 3 types of flowers and 3 types of unrelated stimuli. And for each of these combinations, I want you to come up with a gift idea for my wife. And what I want you to do as a result is, I don't want to go through 36 ideas. What I want is a top 5 list and a reason why that's a good idea. Can you see how this is going to get you a different result? So what are we going to get out of this? Is we will get, and the text is too small to read. Don't worry, I'm going to come to it in just a second. I will get 36 different creative ideas. I will have 6 groups of ideas, Brazilian themes. I will have types of animals. I'll have flower, and I'll have a few random stimuli. And it's going to give me a list of 36 ideas. And it's going to give me a list of the top 5. But I want to be the good husband, so I'm going to choose which of the top 5. And actually, I'm going to choose something around orchids. I want to give her an orchid, and I'm going to give her a samba dance lesson. Of course, I shouldn't be the person dancing with him because I'm not a great dancer, but she'll still enjoy the idea. Both things highlight the vibrant Brazilian tradition of nature and grace. We can create a memorable experience together. So I can order an orchid and schedule a lesson right away. That is a way to get AI to do things differently. Now, if I was really energetic, I could create a GPT. A GPT is something that runs within OpenAI, but there's other places you can do it. And with that GPT, I could define a birthday gift idea GPT for my wife. I could give some objectives. I could give you some insights, which is data around her. And I could give some clear instructions on how that might work. Now, if I wanted to make a GPT, I would actually have a 7-step process. I go, and by the way, you need a paid version of ChatGPT to do this. You can't do it on the free version. But I think you can make a gem for free. So what you would do is you would go to Explore GPTs. You click up on top, it says create a GPT. For most of you, when you do this, it will now ask you a bunch of questions. I've done too many GPT. Oh, you're not seeing my screen. Is that true?
No, that's a fact. No bloody screen.
All right, so let's see. I will share my screen. So I'm sorry, I thought it was up. And so, well, it was good. Actually, you can see that I can talk without visual aids. That's kind of cool. So now you should see my screen. So my apologies to you. So what we have here is we have an input. It goes through a few stages: explore GPTs, create a GPT. And normally what it will ask you is it'll ask you a few different things. It'll ask you, what do you want your GPT to do? What is the background information? What should it do? When you've made too many of these, ChatGPT stops giving you instructions anymore. So I can't see the instructions anymore. So in fact, what I need to do is I need to give it a name. I need to give it a description. I have to say what it does. I can give it some conversation starters. I can upload some knowledge files. And at the end, I can test this out. Okay, so I didn't have the visual elements. I'm sorry. C'est la vie. Things happen that way. You have a whole bunch of different companies that offer the same type of thing. You have something from an OpenAI that does this. You could have something from Google Gems. Meta does it. Amazon does it. IBM does it. Eden AI, I don't even know who that is. Microsoft Copilot and Salesforce can all make these types of cool things. I prefer the use of OpenAI for 2 reasons. One is it's really, really simple to make. And secondly is you can share it for free. And it actually works pretty well out of the box. So what the advantages of a GPT like this is you go from generic replies to specific replies. So if you take the general information that you have, and so I had this visual before talking about how a GPT is put together. You have instructions, information, and insights that you want to put together. If you make it on ChatGPT, you can share it for later. and you can fine tune it over time. Now, when might you want to use a GPT? The best case study I've seen recently is I worked with a guy who was starting a new job, and he wanted to look good. And so what we did is we worked together to design a GPT all about the business they were in, asking all the information about the industry and things like that. So in fact, he had sort of a buddy helping them all the time to generate ideas when he went to meetings, when he got presentations. You could use it to kick off a new project, to lead an existing project. You can pivot mid-model. You can close a project. So I'm going to give you an example, sticking with my Brazilian example. So I had done just recently a sprint in Brazil about generating ready-made drinks in the Brazilian market. These drinks fail consistently. The Brazilians don't like ready-made drinks, but the client says, look, we want to try it again. We're going to go and do it again. So one thing that you might do is you'd say, look, I'm really clever. I'm going to go use ChatGPT and I'm going to get a reply. So I'd say that, look, I go to ChatGPT and I say, please give me 5 ideas for a low-calorie prepared alcoholic beverage targeting active women 18 to 15 years old in Brazil. What do you think ChatGPT is going to give you back as far as a result? Well, what's going to do is it's going to be generic, really kind of useless ideas. To give you an example of one, it's a healthy twist on classic cocktails, and it's a lower calorie version of traditional Brazilian cocktails like a Caprihena, and it appeals to both nostalgic and health conscious customers. That, for me, ladies and gentlemen, is a big yawn. There's nothing there. There's nothing good. There's nothing interesting. There's nothing exciting about it. What we can do is, if we create a GPT, what we can do is we can fill it up with information. And in that GPT, we can talk about the objectives that we want the GPT to do, and we can fill it up with market information. So I've got please here, for example, I have examples of drinks that have failed in the past, search for ideas that worked well, tell me about the Brazilian beverage market, give me lots of ideas, put it all together, and it's got all this stuff on the marketplace. I can go ask the same question again, and what I start getting is something much more specific. Here they're talking about agua de coco and rum zero, a light hydrating coconut rum mix, no added sugar, refreshing, tropical, and aligns with the wellness trends in Brazil. What it can also tell me is the risks associated with it and how I would go out and test it. We've gone from generic to specific. That thing is useful. But now I want to tell you about something that happened when I was sleeping about 4 weeks ago. So I went to bed, really excited about this presentation, and I saw there were some new deep search models from ChatGPT, and then deep search from Google, and then deep search from Grok, and then deep search from what's the Chinese one?
DeepSeek.
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 And I said, oh my goodness, what we just built, they built. So I'm going to tell you what's different. So one of the things that you can do is, when you have this GPT that's there, is you can ask for very specific reviews of ideas and use it to evaluate whether things are good or bad based on the insights that you know on the marketplace. And so what we do is typically things like we'll generate personas representing this target group. We'll look at individual consumers in that, and all of these are individual consumers, like Camilla, the urban wellness enthusiast living in Sao Paulo. She drinks certain things. She has certain things she's excited about. And what we can do is ask for feedback from these personas on the idea. And lo and behold, my agua de coca and rum zero was actually the highest rated one. I didn't know it before I chose it. But we'll get some insights around it. We can get some purchase intent scores from 0 to 10. We have the average score. But by the way, what you don't want is the highest average score. Any product which is good in this world is polarizing. For example, I remember at one point in time, I gave my son an iPhone. My son cried when I gave him an iPhone. He said, "Only horrible kids have an iPhone. I don't want an iPhone. What do you think you're doing?" iPhones work because they're polarizing. Teslas work because they're Teslas are really polarizing right now. But what you're looking for is ideas which score high in one direction. And what we're looking at is the number of times that somebody scores over an 8 on purchase intention. And we've got this coming together. I said, kind of cool. But we have deep search that came along. And I said, is everything that we built all outdated and passe? So what we did is we took our GPT, we took DeepSeek, we took OpenAI, we had Gemini's DeepSeek, and we had Perplexity. And we did an analysis of the Brazilian beverage market. Tell me everything you know, what failed, what succeeded, what was good, what was bad, all these different things. And we gave exactly the same prompt, which is, give me 5 ideas, your 5 best ideas for this target group. What we looked here is the number of scores that came up over 8. So in fact, we had our 10 profiles and the 10 and the 5 different things. So in fact, there was a potential of 50 reviews. The number of personas that were there. And what we're looking at is the number of polarizing scores on all of the ideas and the average score overall. So, ladies and gentlemen, where did our GPT score? We had the number 1, the number 2, the number 4, the number 5, and the number 9 spot. We beat them all. But the reason why we beat them, does everybody understand what we're looking at here, by the way?
No.
No. Okay. Tell me who's got the.
So here's the thing.
You're my favorite one, Richard, because you talk. This is good. Give me the question.
All right. So, well, look, I've been doing the systematic innovation thing in the high tech world for a while, right? Like 25 years, right? Got a track record. So the question is always asked of make sure, the question is usually put to me by VPs, right? Which is, Richard, get me a winning freaking product, right? What do I got to do for this? Right. And so, the whole persona thing that you talked about, I'm like, well, but then I saw how you mapped it. And then I went, hold on a second, let's back up a second, because if you go back to your earlier 2 slides, I think it is, right? Because I was writing as fast as you were, stop right there. Right. So perfect. So this little thing here on the personal drinking habits, beverage appeal, lifestyles and interests, that part right there, right, which is essentially your persona, I'll call it matrix. Yeah, is that about right?
Yep. So basically, what we're doing
hold on a second. This is the important part, because it all ties together, because when I get to it, right, I'm trying to explain my thinking here, right? So all that right there, very important. I'm giving you props for that, right? So, but where'd you come up with that, right? Because that's not, what I mean?
No, Richard, this is easy. So I asked the GPT to create 10 personas.
Oh.
So create me 10 personas, describe them, tell me what they want, tell me about their drinking habits, tell me what beverages appeal to them right now.
Now this is the part that a lot of people miss, and I didn't know about, because I'm not a marketing guy. I'm a guy who actually builds stuff, right? So, and then has to get a whole bunch of other people to build it along with me and not be at odds with me when I'm doing it. So if you go to the next slide that you have, because this is great, by the way, I get that. I'm clocking on that. So you said this whole thing about the insights, right? Mm-hmm. Which is basically all the different ingredients, which is what because I used to bartend back in the day. Hold on a second.
No, but let me talk, Richard.
Purpose, intent.
No.
And then there's other piece.
Richard, you're missing something here. The insight is about the things that these personas play back about the product or service. What do they like and what don't they like? It's actually averaging all that stuff coming back together. And it's unfortunately, it's a lot longer than what you see here because I can't fit it on a slide.
Yeah, see, I knew there was a devil in the detail somewhere in here.
Okay.
Right. So hold on, because this is the other part because I really like this, what you have here, right? Because the part that you've captured here is the willingness to purchase question, right? WTP, it's a very common question. And that comes up when you're doing product development work of any kind. And you got purchase intent, average score, and then you made the comment about polarizing, which I think is not unimportant by a long stretch, right? Because it depends on what is polarizing about the particular product, right? So obviously in Tesla's case, as the example you brought up,
okay,
right?
Richard, what we're going to do here is I'm going to bring this back on track. Otherwise, we're going to run over time. But I think the question that comes up for me is, I like getting feedback, but I'm going to barrel forward. And I think there's a couple of questions in what you're asking here. So one is, how did we do these evaluations? So the thing that you can do is you can create personas, and the personas will give you a much better feedback on a product, service, or idea than any specific question that you raise to ChatGPT. And the reason I put it in here is to show how we compare it to the other stuff. So what we end up with here is just the bottom line. We got a GPT that does something. There's another bunch of stuff that does something. The thing that we have, frankly, is still better. Maybe in 6 months, it won't be better anymore. But right now, we kick their tail, and that's fantastic. So why does it do better? Is, first of all, we add it with more information. We are more specific about our requests. And what you'll see in a bit at the very end of this talk is we cheat a little bit and we put in a huge pile of ideas for the GPT to work with. And I'll just get to that. So I've got a book coming out called The Generative Organization. And the basic theme of the book is we're talking about the future of AI. We thought AI would improve our predictions of the future. It doesn't do it. We thought AI would improve the way that we sort and do different things. AI doesn't do it any better than human beings. What AI does do better is creativity. And the book is about how do you do creativity with AI. And what I'm going to go through is the steps to make it a custom GPT. And I'll show you, there are 7 steps. And unfortunately, I don't have this bandwidth to be able to do this interactively with you, but you will get an outline. You will get all the prompts. You will get everything you want to do to make this on your own. And at the end of this, there's 4 options. And you'll see that there's 3 on the page. The first option is you say, Mr. Cassady, this is a useless waste of my time. I don't want to do it. So that's the do nothing option. But I'm going to assume that I get past that. There's a second option, which is do it yourself. That's completely free. And I'm going to give you everything you need. There's a second one, which is called DWY, which is a new acronym I didn't know until 2 weeks ago. We will do it with you, which is we do a training at your company explaining how to do this. And the last one is DFY, is we do it for you. So what is the process that we go through? So the first step in making a custom GPT that does something well is the same, regardless if I'm making something, a GPT to make birthday gifts for my wife, or I'm looking for ways to do something for the Brazilian beverage market. And what I've got in that is a process which starts at the beginning here, which is about doing some deep research. Your input is a mission, the business context, the job to be done. And what we do is we go out and we collect some information. How do we collect information? The best way to do it right now is to use the deep search functionality of Perplexity, OpenAI, Gemini, Grok, and all the others. In about 5 minutes, you get a really good picture of your marketplace. But you have to know enough to know which market you're working in. We also have something, which I'll tell you about at the end, is a big bonus, we can give you the equivalent of a McKinsey consultant who's drank 10 cups of coffee to go out and do a market analysis super fast. And it will actually go out and do around 40 prompts on your marketplace and pull it all together. So what we do is we start out with a series of relevant questions. You get to know it. It'll give you a report. That report is available for you to download. Try it out. Truly amazing stuff. Now comes the big question is, what do you want to do? If you get the wrong question, you get the wrong answer. The biggest contribution I make when I work with clients is helping them define the innovation challenge they want to work on. And the way that you define your innovation challenge for me, and there's the old expression, if your only tool is a hammer, every problem is a nail. My nail for getting people aligned is something called, my hammer to get people aligned is something called True North. True North is an acronym, but it works out very well. It starts with N, which is a narrative. Tell me the story about what you want to do. We want to build a new ready-made beverage for the Brazilian market that does the following things and appeals to the following people. Our objective is something that doesn't fail. Our restrictions is something we can test pretty quick. Our tactical constraints is we have to work within the following area. We give it some ideas to start and we simplify the whole thing. And the way that you make this best is you start with market data and then you use human insight and you work together. Now, there's two easy options to do this with. There's actually three. One is we have a GPT that runs to do this. And if you fill in the evaluation form at the end, what you do is you go to the GPT, you upload your deep search data, and you say, please help me write a True North. And it will give you an outline for an innovation objective. Straightforward. The second thing is you can go within your deep search models and say, based on all the stuff that you collected already, help me write a True North for my project and make a True North based on the following template. And what you will get back, and this is too small to read, is you will get back a very, very clear and specific innovation challenge. And specifically what is good about an innovation challenge, it has a story. People understand stories. And contrary to what you might believe, AI understands stories much better than it understands facts. So it has a story, it has objectives, and it has constraints. A good type of an innovation challenge typically has something you want and something you don't want. A good example of that is I want a car that drives faster and is safer. There's a contradiction. That is an innovation challenge. If you want to just build a car which is cheaper, that's an engineering challenge. You just have to do it and you will get there eventually. Innovation is doing things which are not necessarily compatible. So now what you would like to do is you have your True North and you can dig a little bit deeper and say, look, has anybody tried this before? What's failed? What's succeeded? What other market data could we get? And what you can do is do a competitive analysis. Who's existing in the marketplace? Who's succeeded and failed? What are the market trends? And you can use lots of different ways of collecting this data. You can use your creativity, or you can use some of the prompts that we give you. And in fact, I think somewhere in here, there are actually links to the prompts. So now what you have is a competitive analysis. We have what's succeeded and what failed. Now, the interesting thing is to come back and look at that objective you had. Does this make sense? Are we on the right target? Are we going to make something that's good? Is the question we're asking the right question? So how do you do that? This is the easiest way, is we have a GPT, open it up, select the review option, upload all the stuff that you have there and say, look, here's my True North. Tell me what you think. What you'll get is an output that has what you've written, a recommended update, and an output. And it's essentially, we're looking at the story, an update, and a rationale for change. Okay, up until now, you say, okay, this is good. You got me figured on my target. but you haven't gotten me very far. The one thing that AI does better than human beings, and I know a lot of human beings here will take offense, is it's better at generating ideas. And the reason why AI is better at generating ideas is most ideas are not new ideas. The best estimate that's there is that 97% of the patents that are existed today are for ideas that exist already. So in fact, idea building is more about creative combination than it is new ideas. And if you're looking at creative combination, who can combine things creatively faster than human beings, it's a computer. And I just want to give you an idea of this. So we did a test. We analyzed 5,402 ideas for a specific innovation challenge. That's a lot of ideas, by the way. 280 that came from human beings, 460 that came with human beings working with ChatGPT, and 4,662 that came from human beings working with ChatGPT and a few clever prompts. The first thing that you have to realize, nobody wants 5,000 ideas to solve a challenge. Nobody. What you want is you want big ideas to solve your challenge. Now, a lot of you have something to do a screenshot. If you want to do a screenshot of something in this presentation, this would be a page that I would copy. So what we've done is we've looked at these ideas from 3 different perspectives. The first perspective we looked at, and I'm going to come back to this chart. So basically what we did is we took the 5,000 ideas and we looked at what is in the top 5% of ideas. And I'm going to show you that in just a second. So the first thing that we have here is the average quality of ideas. AI, human beings, basically the same. Okay, AI is a little bit better. And if you're an academic like me, you get really excited because these differences are statistically significant. The second thing we can look at is the creativity or novelty of the ideas, and human beings are more novel than AI is. It comes back to our problem at the beginning because AI predicts things which are predictable. But the real thing that's cool is when we look at this, what is the percentage of top ideas generated by each group? Human beings hit 1 top idea per 100, 1% of their ideas. Human beings working with AI get 1.5. Human beings working with a good target, the true north, get about double that. But when you throw AI in the mix, we're looking 5 to 8 times more good ideas, top ideas. And this, my friends, is not the number of ideas, but it is the hit rate. It's the on-base percentage. So we're looking at 8 good ideas per 100 from AI, 1 good idea per 100 from human beings. So if you want the research of this, send me a direct message. I'll send it over to you. It's a 20-minute talk. So we have some of these ideas that have been generated by the AI. And we have approximately 1,200 ideas that have been generated. And what we now have is a target. We have instructions. We have ideas. We have insights. And what we're going to do is we're going to throw it all together. So if you have your true north, that's easy. You say, look, we would like a GPT that does this innovation challenge. You can set the tone and style. Do you want it to be funny? Do you want it to be serious? How do you want it to be? You can have some conversation starters, which could let people use your GPT easily. And you have to test your instructions. This looks really horrible, but it's pretty cool. If you use this prompt and put it in ChatGPT, it will give you the instructions for your GPT to create something straight out of the box. You just run it, fill it in, and it will tell you how to fill in the boxes. Okay, so we've got to this point, and now you have to put it all together. So what do we have? We have the knowledge files, all the research and documentation. We have the instructions. So you say what the GPT needs to do. We have the conversation starters. We have to test and refine. So it all fits together into one GPT, which is, what do we want to do? We want to generate ideas. We want to evaluate ideas. We want to help you share ideas. We have things that failed, things that succeeded, ideas, and all of that stuff that comes together. And we have a little box where you can ask it anything about the Brazilian beverage market. Now, does this solve your problem? No. But what it does do is when your team is working together, you can add an AI team member, and that AI team member will work well for you. How do you know if you got it right? Well, you have to test and see, does it understand? And I would suggest what you do is you say, for example, give me a 500-word briefing for a new team member joining this project. 2, create a 4-week plan to get us from point A to point B. Tell me the risks associated with this. Do a stakeholder analysis. And now you've got something, hopefully, that works. Now, let me tell you why this is cool. It's cool because if you've taken time to define your challenge, you have a true north that anybody can understand. The AI can understand it, but the people working on your project can understand it. You have the people working on the project, and you say, look, you know what? We've already got 1,000 ideas for you. And we say, look, you got a GPT to go forward. So what's the risk for you? It's simple, it's easy. It doesn't take much expertise. I can do it. And I'm not the most technical guy in the world. What's your time loss? A couple hours. How long? If you want to make a really good version, probably a day, day and a half. What are the risks? Really, really low. If it doesn't work, you throw it out. So the reality, you don't need me. You don't need us. You can go ahead, take the instructions, go ahead. No problems. But we can help you define your innovation challenge better than you could possibly imagine. And we have some really cool tools. And even contrary to what some people might believe, we are actually kind of fun to work with. And I want to show you the tools that we have. So we have a toolkit, which is a total of 259 tools and 6 apps. Most of what we use to make the GPT is in the first part of the tool set. The first part is getting aligned. So what we have is our McKinsey consultant on coffee. He goes through 31 prompts. He gives you 50 to 75 pages of insights to help you write a clearer innovation challenge. This gets you started in the right direction, pointed in the right way. This is one of my favorite quotes. I think it's one of the most important quotes. It's one of the most real quotes. Albert Einstein supposedly once said, if I had an hour to solve a problem my life depended on it, I'd spend 55 minutes finding the right question and 5 minutes solving it. The way that you pose your question, the way that you pose your innovation challenge oftentimes determines whether you will find a solution. So the second part of the toolkit is something called Clarify Your Challenge. And we'll give you hundreds of ways to rethink, reframe, rethink your challenge, to write it in different ways, which makes it easier to come up with. The third part, and this is what everybody gets excited about, but this is the easy part, is you choose an innovation method, you fill in your true north, you click a little button, and what's going to pop out is ideas to solve your innovation challenge. It will keep on going and keep on going and keep on going and keep on going. And what you will typically get out of this is somewhere between 700 and 1,500 new ideas. The AI will shortlist the ideas, and it will also help you merge and combine the ideas. So what you've got in this process is we can add 3 things. We can help you get your strategy better. We can help you get better ideas and more ideas. And we can help you write the instructions. There's 3 ways to go forward. Easy one, do it yourself. Do it with us. We do trainings on this. The fee for a training is 600 euros per person with a minimum of 3,000. It's a one-day training, and the maximum is 6,000. So if you want to have 200 people, it's 6,000. We also have a do-it-for-you solution, which is we will actually take your innovation challenge and write this up for you. Or you can hire us to do a sprint. We do one-day sprints, day-and-a-half sprints, and 2.5-day sprints. And this is a part of what we do when we actually work on these things. And the sprint includes making the GPT, but that's only the first part. Now the question is, what do you do with the ideas? How do you test the ideas? How do you grow the ideas? How do you make them come together? So if you want a copy of the slides, you can get them. They are available, and I'm going to give you the link to them, by the way. Hold on a second. And I'm going to go through some of the questions that came up in the chat here. So I'm going to give you this so you can get the slides. If you go to this link here and you answer a few questions, what you will get is all the prompts to make a GPT. You get a copy of a book that I think is really good. It's a book that I wrote. Every author tells you their book is good, but I think my book is good. And you will get a link to try the Innovation Toolkit. This is the stuff you'll get. You'll get stuff about me. You'll get stuff about courses, the Innovation Toolkit, our book, a book chapter, which describes how to do this whole thing that I've explained in an hour in 6 pages, what you need to make a custom GPT, the prompts, the video, and a presentation. So before we get to questions and answers, I'm going to give you a few takeaways. The goal here is to move beyond generic answers and to make it easier. You can do it prompt by prompt, or you can change the way your LLM works. One way to change the way your LLM works is change the data, the instructions, and the way it works. If you want to do this right, you need a clear objective. One of the things you want, after you have your objectives, you want knowledge files which are useful. You want to test and refine. And the last one is probably underrated, is you have to keep your brain on and realize that AI is not the solution to all your problems. AI is a co-pilot in the process. And what do you need to remember? It's a heck of a lot easier than it looked in what I presented to you. Sit down. It's a 2-coffee process. 2 coffees, you can make your first GPT. But if you want help with this, we're willing to help you out. So now I see all these questions in the chat. My goodness. I see people who want the research. Questions from the audience. What do people have to say? What do people want to know? Do you believe me, by the way? Michael, you're up on first.
Boa tarde, Brian. Tudo bem com você?
Yeah. Você fala no, we can't speak in Portuguese, but I am getting there. Go ahead.
Good to hear it. A quick question about this. You did your research. You put it into PDF files that you can upload then to inform your custom GPT. Then when you start asking your GPT to formulate ideas, you don't want to just restrict it to the information that you've uploaded as these source files, right? You want it to be unrestricted, or also to combine that with searching the wider web, especially for the latest information. Do you need to specify that, or does it naturally do that without any indicative prompting for that?
Partially and partially not. So the best instruction set actually specifies places where it could go look for the most recent information. So if I was looking in the beverage market, there's actually a series of websites on the beverage market, and it can actually pull all the recent data, but it will do it on its own to a certain extent. And I think what you need to do is you need to think about how would you brief a really smart and energetic intern to do this? And that's the way that you want to brief your GPT. You say, oh, you should look here, you want to do this, you might want to do that.
Yeah, that's clear. It is. It's like that, isn't it? It's like having an enthusiastic intern, but you got to be very clear on what you want it to do.
Yeah, I mean, otherwise they get lost.
Sure.
Good question, by the way. Other questions?
I have one. May I?
Yeah, go ahead, Fabs.
Hi, Brian. Thanks for that. Two questions, actually. The first one that comes to mind is, in my playing with these models, I find out that difficult to find real-time reliable information. That's one. With all these models, so they say, oh, we don't have real time, we don't have updated, and they give me something from 3 years ago or something. And second challenge I see is putting data in a model like this that supposedly is public. I'm not sure how secure, would I have to worry about putting some of my private data in a model like this that could be leaked or used by third parties potentially? What is your view on those two?
Okay, so let me answer your questions in 2 steps.
Okay.
First step is, how do you get recent information? The new deep search models that run on Grok, DeepSeek, Gemini, Perplexity are fantastic. They get the most recent stuff on anything that you want to find.
Okay.
Okay, no problems.
Mm-hmm.
The question of confidentiality of your data, big problem. If you're using a public LLM, especially ChatGPT and Grok and things like that, they use the data that you put in to train their models.
Mm-hmm.
So they won't supply your data directly, but if you come up with a brilliant insight, some of those brilliant insights might leak out to someplace else. The solution around that is private LLMs, and Copilot actually has a very secure basis for how you would do this.
Great, thank you.
Brian, I wanted to. Okay, sorry. Okay, can I ask a question?
Yeah. I'm trying to see who's talking.
So how quick the LLMs learn once you ask a question where it doesn't answer to what the question was? Okay, I mean the recent question that I asked was you asked the GPT to show a picture of a person writing with the left hand. It shows with the right hand. Okay, so I still see the LLM doesn't learn to write with the left hand.
So that was my last point to you. Use this information. It's coming back to, we're saying this is a smart intern who's coming back and dropping stuff on your desk. Don't believe the smart intern. Use your brain, keep it on. That's how.
No, but that's a straightforward question, right? So you ask GPT to show a picture of a person writing with the left hand, and it shows the picture of a person with writing with the right hand. So it's quite simple. Okay, it can learn and then get a picture from the open source.
So for example, GPTs don't do math very well.
Yeah, I know.
Doesn't add numbers. Again, it's a question of keeping your brain on, using it for what it is. In fact, the question that you could come up with is, are these mistakes a fault in the model or are they a feature in the model? If they gave you the right answer and exactly what you wanted each time, it would have zero creativity. The fact that it makes mistakes, the fact that it does stuff wrong, is actually helping you in terms of the creative process. So the answer to your question is, can you fix what the LLM is getting wrong? No, you can't. But it's going to get better and better over time.
Yeah.